record on this computer. All right, cool. So it's 9:10. Today we're going to be going over some more dashboarding type stuff. Gonna have some of you guys ask some questions. And then we'll go over maybe a few additional commands depending on the type of questions we get. We'll go over through some of those things. So let's get ready to get started. All right, so first and foremost, did anyone do a dashboard that they wanted to talk about, display, and say, hey, let's check this out? I'll just put that out there. All right, looks like, okay, no one did a dashboard. Okay, all right, so let's go over some questions then. So, let me go back to the front end app. Let me get ready to share my screen. All right, so actually before we start there, we'll start with questions from you guys. Any questions so far in regards to not only the class, but also in regards to interview questions? So some of you that have been interviewing or have had interviews or have stuff at work, say, hey, how would I do this? Or what are some questions you have? I know Elaine had some, Richard had some. So let's start there.
One of the questions which I had was, you have a client has logs coming in and they don't see the logs. They try to search for the logs, they don't see it, or shows logs are missing within that period. How do you identify those logs that are missing? I mean, how do you resolve that or know that the logs are missing at your own end?
Okay. Let's walk through that, right? So let's do a blank diagram. Okay. So what are some important questions to ask? That's the first thing.
The question you ask the client?
Yeah. So they tell you, hey, we have some logs and the logs are not coming in. What are some important things you would need to know? So this is Splunk.
First thing, ask if they have access to the particular index which they're searching the log from.
Okay. So inside Splunk, we have let's reduce this. We have an index. And we're going to say, permissions. Okay, that's one of the questions. What else would we ask? Now, I'm not saying this is a bad question, but why would you typically not ask this question? So if a client comes up to you and says, hey, or if a cop comes up to you, not a cop, but if you're a cop, police officer, and a civilian comes up to you and says, hey, I had some stuff inside my house and it's always been there, but then I come in today and I don't see that stuff in my house anymore. Would you ask them, do you have access to your house?
Yes, if you own the house.
Yeah, would you ask that question? Do you own the house? So what I'm getting at is this. The person has access to, the person owns this index, right? And they have data come into this index, right?
Yeah.
And they say, hey, I don't have logs coming in. Why would you ask them, do you have permissions to the index if they told you, I'm no longer getting data in this index, right?
Yeah.
Right. So it wouldn't make sense to necessarily ask them, do you have access to it? Because they're the ones who are telling you, I have data, but data's not coming in. So what's another question you can ask them? Anyone. This is for anyone.
When did it happen?
Okay, that's one thing. All right, what else?
What search were you running?
Okay. All right. What else?
Can we ask for the data sources?
Okay. Data sources. Okay.
Mm.
Were there any changes made?
Oh, yeah. There was a network issue or something.
Okay. Okay.
Your forwarders working. That would be way to check. No,
What now?
I was thinking about forwarders, but that would be on my part to check.
Yeah, yeah. So those are good questions. So what would be data sources? So what are the data sources? What's an easy one? It's just how does the data come to Splunk? That's a very easy one because this is very important. Whether it's a forwarder, whether it's syslog, whether it's API, scripted inputs, it's very important to know exactly what's happening for this data to come in, right?
Okay.
All right, so we have a couple of things here that we can look at. So the first thing is, when did it happen? How would you check? What if the client says, okay, I'm not sure when it happened, but I don't see any data now. What's one way that you can check to see the last time data came in? A very simple way. Let's say the index equals OS. Actually, let's give an index. Let's do, since it's Elaine that asked the question, Elaine underscore index is the index. So how do we check the last time data came into Elaine's index?
The index equals to my name, and then the time range.
Okay. What time range would you do?
7 days.
Why 7 days?
I think it should be 48 hours.
Why 48 hours?
Because if they just notice it within 48 hours, you'd be able to tell what the time gap is.
Okay. So what if, so it's tricky, right? So we didn't ask that question over here. We didn't ask, when did you notice the data being missing? So we don't know whether the person, because we asked when did it happen, and that person could have said, hey, I searched today and I don't see any data, but this data could have been missing for 10 days, for a month. They couldn't have been searching for that data. It could have been missing for 3 months. We don't know. So this is often something you see in Splunk environments where people ask you questions about stuff they haven't checked for. It's just like somebody asks you a question about a host, but that host hasn't been reporting for like 6 months, and they have not been looking in Splunk for forever for that host. And all of a sudden they say, hey, my host is missing data. So what you would want to do is say, okay, when did you notice that the data's been missing? They could be like, well, I just searched yesterday, and I've searched over 24 hours and I don't see the data. Or I searched over 40 hours, I don't see the data. It could be much longer. We don't know. So right now, these are all investigative things that we're trying to figure out. So one of the things you would do is you can run metadata, which we ran multiple times before. How would we? So let's say we notice the data sources and we know the index is Elaine's index, and we know the data source is whatever. How would we check for the data sources inside of Elaine's index? What's the search we can do? Data. Type equals equals source types or source, whichever they want. Then we run that. So then we get all the list of sources over the last 24 hours that have reported to Lane's index. And the reason why I would run this is because it runs really, really fast in 0.19 seconds. And it gives me everything that I want within 24 hours. But then you see this timestamp here, right? How do I convert this timestamp to be a timestamp that's human readable?
The approach.
Say again?
Is it the, how do you call it? Is it the approach time or it's a name I came across?
So you could do that in settings or something.
Say it again?
So you could do that in settings.
Well, not the epoch time. So this is a search-based thing that you have to do. So this is a value. We're trying to modify a value. So remember we've used convert before? You guys remember that command?
Oh.
Convert. And then we'll say C time, which is current time. And then we're going to convert first time, last time, recent time. So convert. Last time. It doesn't have to be in order, by the way. Oh, now we've converted it. So we know the first time this data source came in, we know the last time it came in, and we know the most recent time. And usually the most recent and last time are in sync. So the recent time is usually a little bit ahead of it, but last time is literally like when Splunk recorded it. So we see here, first time, last time, recent time of all our sources. So now you can run this 7 days, 30 days, whatever days, and it still runs fairly fast. You can see here, we look at our job inspect right here, took 0.121 seconds this time versus 0.19, but still fairly fast, 7 days. And then you can now track exactly when that data first came in, when the last came in, and the most recent time that Splunk was able to ingest that data. And you can look at it now for whatever source type they're looking for any specific index in here. So try to remember this command. I know we ran through it a couple times, but do your best to try to remember that. All right, so now that we know.
Yeah, quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So what we do first is actually look at all source types.
Well, if you know the source type, then you don't have to do that. You can do search type equals blah, right? So you can do whatever source type that you know it is. It's only if you don't know the source type, if the customer doesn't know the source type. But typically, if they come to you, say that we have this data is missing, they'll know the source type that's there.
Okay.
Yep. So we're just trying to go through this methodically in terms of, like an investigator. Somebody says, hey, I have this issue. You start tracing the issue from where, from how you can. And we're looking at it right now from the front end basis. Typically, I do that backwards. I would do some of these basic things, check the index first to see if the data is there. But I always start backwards, literally from the source itself. So where the data is coming from, to make sure that place that the data is coming from actually is sending data in the first place. But let's just continue this path just since this is a front end class. Okay. So if the person says, hey, the source type is going to be win event log. So I'll do win event log. And now only gives me the stuff for win event log. So I know the last time I got something, today is the 19th, was at 2106, which is like 18 minutes ago or so. That was the last time we got something for this guy. And then we have other stuff coming in from the win event log. So it might be different hosts possibly for these because it's the same source type. But yeah. Okay. All right. So now we know the source type. The customer is giving it to us, and we know the the last time the data came in and whatnot. So then what would you do from here? So now that you know the source type, you know the last time it came in, and you've identified that and you've confirmed with the customer, what would you do after this as a Splunk front-end developer guy? What would you do? What would you say? What would you ask?
Was any changes made?
Okay. And they said, yeah, we made some changes to the firewall, but we confirmed that data from, so let's say in their environment over here, and you always try to map this stuff out yourself to make sure that this sort of makes sense. So here, this way, that will do this way, none. So the data is coming from here, and then we have, this is the host, and we have a firewall here. Right. So they say, yeah, we made some changes to the firewall, but what we don't get is that even though we made these changes, we have a few hosts that are still sending data, and it's able to get to Splunk with that source type. So we're not sure what's going on. So what would your thought be behind it if they tell you that, you know, we're getting data, but we're not sure why this guy's let me do check mark. So this guy's good. This guy's good. This guy's good, but this guy's not. Right? So this guy's the only guy that's not sending data. But everybody else that's behind the firewall is able to send data. What would your thought be behind there?
The guy's not sending logs.
Anyone can answer this. These are literally interview questions you get. So we say, hey, we have a host behind a firewall that's sending data, and it's sending data from the same VLAN or whatever. But for some reason, there's certain hosts which are behind that firewall also that aren't sending data. What would the issue be, or what could the issue be? What is this firewall called?
You can check the port.
Okay, that's a good one. So we can check the port. So let's say the port on this host is good, just like the other ports are good. The port is, and well, actually, let me ask this question. What do you mean?
I mean, you have to find out what kind of host it is first.
What type of what?
What kind of host it is.
Okay, so what do you mean?
It could be maybe endpoint or what else? It could be me external host, maybe like FireEye or something, you know. So it just depends.
So
Maybe
let's
virus or something, sending information or sending data through the firewall. I mean, if it's behind the firewall, most of the time it's mostly external.
well, let's say so we have internal firewalls though. So yeah. So remember, I will say 100% of your environments, your enterprises, you're gonna have an internal firewall, just because of security reasons. So let's say in here we have these are internal firewalls, and then you have your externals down here somewhere, right? So you have this guy's going to whatever. He's going out to the internet, to La La Land over here. So we have another. a guy here. Sorry, this guy here actually. So this is the internet firewall. So this guy right here is basically the guy that you have to go through to go out to the internet. But this is your internal right here. So you have a firewall here that basically segments you from going to these guys. And in a lot of environments, what you'll see is a lot of environments, you'll see something like this. You have a whole bunch of other segments that are sending data to Splunk. So you can have 3 or 4 different subnets. So it's just like in your house, right? You have, well, not in everybody's house, but in my house, I have different networks. And in my different networks, I'm able to segment what devices connect to what on what networks. So in enterprise environments, it's the same thing. You have your IT or HR people. You have your, what do you call it? You have your, let's say your pen testing people, your deep security folks. You have your, maybe your Splunk folks elsewhere. You have your admins. You have your users. You have your external users, and you have some secret files. So you have a whole bunch of other sub networks or virtual networks that are provisioned so that only people who belong in that space have access to that space. So in this case, you have a space over here where you have, let's say, your HR. You have everybody on HR has a laptop which connects to your VPN, which then allows you to get into wherever you need to get to. And then your VPN allows you to connect to a specific network, which everybody is able to connect to. And you have a certain host called Jason. Tom, Scott, Margie are able to connect to, connect in and get they have Splunk installed on their local machines or their laptops. And they're forwarding their data to Lane's index. So Lane's index somehow ends up being the operating system index that's collecting data. Jason's, however, used to get data, but for some reason, Jason's data is no longer getting to Elaine's index. So that's the issue we have right now. Jason is able to send other kinds of data to Elaine's index, is what we surmise right now. But for some reason, we're still not getting his operating system data in Elaine's index. So what could be some issues there? Why some operating system data is not getting to Elaine's index?
Is the configurations configured properly?
So that's a good thing. Let's say we check and we see that the configurations are configured properly. But that is a good question. You would check that 99% of the time when you have environments like this, all the configurations are usually pushed out by your deployment server. And your deployment server will make sure that everyone has the same apps and stuff. So that's what we did over in here. So whenever you have, agents checking in, remember when we push out apps, we don't really care what person that is that's connected. They get the same app, the same configuration across the board. So that's typically how it happens in most environments. So let's say your configurations are consistent across the board. What else could be the problem?
Jason's server may be blacklisted.
Okay. What do you mean?
Where does that go?
It's being blacklisted, but I mean,
Mm.
it was coming in before. I don't know why it will be blacklisted now.
Exactly. So that's why I wanted to ask that. So, and the other thing, remember I said also is that there is a certain blacklist that could be, but I want you to sort of flesh that out. If it's the same thing we're talking about, Timmy.
No, I was just guessing.
Okay.
A certain blacklist might be maybe if it's sending email notifications, and I don't know, but it might blacklist that for some reason. maybe it notices or something. But this is internal. It wouldn't be like, I don't know. I don't want to beat around the bush and just not be correct.
No worries, no worries. I mean, we're all taking guesses here. So remember, the scenario is this guy is able to get data here. It's a specific data source that the user is complaining about that used to come, that's no longer coming. So it's not that Jason's blacklisted from sending data at all. It's just that there's a specific source type. In this case,
Oh, I didn't know that. It was out the question.
oh yeah, no worries. I tried to explain, I think, initially where we have everybody sending data, everybody's able to get through. And you mentioned, I think initially, it could be a port issue. And then we say, no, it's not a port issue. We know that Jason is able to, matter of fact, let's check that. Jason is able to send data. Data is top. Are a specific right? So we have data coming into Jason's laptop, or from Jason's laptop, but we're missing a specific data source. So we know one thing that we ruled out now. So we know it's not the port. We know because we know data is coming in, so it's not the port. We also know that Jason's laptop is not fully blacklisted because we have data coming in. We also know that Jason's laptop isn't down because we have data coming in. What else could it be?
Could it be permissions on that data source?
Okay, so that could be possibly the case. So yeah, it could be permissions. So let's say we check and we find out that it isn't permissions. Splunk can read that location of the file. What could it be then?
I guess we gotta find out if that source is on-prem or hybrid or cloud or base. I don't know.
Why would that matter though?
Cloud based, I think that might matter based on location. It just, I don't know.
Well, you got to think about that though. If you're saying location, why would location matter for getting the data?
Yeah, you're right.
Because the data was coming in.
Right.
Yep. Probably either the server went down or they had a maintenance issue. They were probably doing a maintenance upgrade, which they probably restarted the server and it had missing logs for that particular time frame.
So that was that time frame, but remember, we're still getting data, right? Remember, focus on this part right here. We're still getting data from Jason's laptop right now, but it's just the specific data source that's missing.
So, I mean, I talked about a server, but could that, I guess, source type or be blacklisted?
Yes, that could be the case. But the way that would be blacklisted, the only way that would be blacklisted is if somebody created a rule on your indexers that says, hey, blacklist.
Correct.
And you're hurting my side. I hope it was spit in it. Y'all play too much anyway.
Okay, cool. Yes, so that could be the thing. So we could possibly have a blacklisting rule on basically that says drop OS logs JSON. So we can have that rule there. This is the backend configuration, so I'm not going to show you guys that, but that could be a possibility there. But let's say we find out, hey, we checked and there's no blacklisting.
That would be in props, right?
Yeah, props and transforms.
Okay.
Yep. So let's
Okay, after this one.
say again.
I was just to ask, what's the major difference between props and the transform? I just know they have to structure your data which you're bringing in. Because
Yeah.
that's the question they asked me. What's the major difference between this props and your transform?
Props is mainly used for breaking your data apart. Transforms is used for rerouting your data essentially. So either you reroute it in terms of changing the name, changing like, something about the data, or you're sending it to La La Land, meaning like you want to throw it away, or you want to rename what it's going to be called. You want to send it to a third party. So anything that does with like manipulating the data to be different than the original, usually transforms are what's involved there.
We have to check the forwarder.
Okay. All right. So what do you mean?
See why the data is not coming in, right?
Yeah. So what do you mean by that though?
Oh, checking the forwarder.
Yep.
I guess that's how the data is supposed to come in.
Say that. So explain. So if some in an interview question, they say, hey, you say you want to check the forwarder. What would you do to check the forwarder? What are the exact steps you would do to check the forwarder?
I don't know, to be honest with you.
Okay. That's fair. So checking the forwarder goes along with lines of what I'm thinking, but there's something else that it isn't necessarily the forwarder that you're checking. Let me put it this way.
Forwarder server?
No.
Yeah, give us a hint.
If you are a receiver on a football team and you used to get passes from you get passes every 2 minutes from Joe Montana, whatever, whoever, and then all of a sudden those passes stop. What could be the reason why those passes stopped?
Maybe you're not open.
Okay, so let's say you're open.
He has a better receiver.
Okay, so it's going somewhere else. So that could be another thing. Jason's data was switched to go to another area, but we've already said that the configurations are the same. We talked about that earlier, but that's good thought there. So he's not going to a different source, or to a different destination. Okay. So what else?
Quarterback is injured.
Okay, so quarterback is injured. So what does that mean in terms of IT, in terms of what we're talking about?
Check the output.com configurations on the forwarder.
So what do you mean by that? Why would you check outputs? The output basically says send data to my indexers, right?
Outputs. Because we already said that we're using a deployment server, so all the outputs should be the same.
Right. But not only that, outputs only tells you where the data is going. It doesn't tell you like where, you're not doing like a rerouting or anything. We've already said that. What we're saying now is the data is coming in. Remember that. So the outputs it's not really an issue of outputs because we know data is coming in from Jason's laptop. It's a specific source type. And then we talked about, you said the quarterback is injured. So in terms of IT, if let's say the data source is injured, what does that mean?
So the data is not being well passed.
So if it's not being parsed, does that mean the data won't come in?
I mean, that particular source type is not, it's not, how can I put it? It's not being broken down or it's not being parsed enough for it to come in.
But that goes back to my question. If your data is not being parsed right, does that mean that the data won't come in?
No, it can come in.
Okay. So even if it doesn't matter whether it's parsed right or wrong, it's just going to come in, but it's going to come in broken the wrong way. But we'll know that we'll still have data, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what could it be then if it's not the parsing issue? It's very simple. I think you guys are overthinking it.
Let me say.
So that we talked about the quarterback is injured. Try to follow that route. If the quarterback is injured, if your data source is injured, if your quarterback is injured, what happens to your quarterback?
You can't throw well.
Okay, so what happens?
Taken off the
It's
field.
removed, right?
You take him off the field,
Okay, so what happens if your data source is injured?
decommission it,
Decommission what?
the server.
No. You data source. It's not the server. You want to decommission your server.
I guess you gotta fix it.
Yeah, so you got to fix it, right? So
Yeah.
until you fix it, what's the issue?
Troubleshoot it.
No. Until you fix the data source, what's the issue?
I think you gotta move.
No. Overthinking it. Until you fix it, what's the issue?
Won't be able to send it.
Yeah.
Exactly. The data's not there. That's it. That's all I'm getting at. The data's not there. So you can have a file that you're reading, or you can have a location that you're picking up logs. If that location of logs doesn't exist on the server, you're not going to get anything. It doesn't. It doesn't matter at all. You know how many configurations, outputs, all that. It doesn't matter. If there's no data there, Splunk is going to be like, "Hey, there's nothing there. What am I going to send?" That's.
I was thinking high levels and easy.
I was telling you, you guys are overthinking, and this is what happens 99% of most enterprise environments. Folks don't go back to the original source. That's why you start from beginning. You say, okay, do you see data on your server in that log file or at that path? Or if it's operating system logs, typically, as long as the server is up, it's going to send operating system logs. That's by default. But let's just say for just this example's sake, you have a specific location that is sending a specific source type. If that data is not there's nothing for it to get to Splunk. Because Splunk, all it does is just picks up data wherever it's at and is sending it. That's all it is. If there's nothing there, it's not going to send anything.
So basically, you just have to go back to the path.
Step one, just go back to step one as you're onboarding. The first thing is onboarding is where's the data at? That's the first thing. And how do I get the data? So you find out where the data is at. It's on Jason's laptop. Is Jason's laptop up? Well, we know we're getting data logs, so that's not the issue. Is the data there? If the data is there, then you start checking, okay, is the port open? We know we're getting data, so we know that the port is open. Do we have any rules that's set that are dropping the logs? So start doing that, think about it in terms of onboarding before you start thinking, okay, let me just break it down in terms of like try to think, try to reverse engineer it by doing X, Y, Z. Just go back to like basic level. If somebody says we need you to onboard data, the first thing you think about is where's the data at? How am I getting data in? Is there a firewall in between anywhere that I need to shut off? Things like that are what you need to think about. The other things that we didn't talk about is what type of firewall is this?
And the DMZ. It's
Well, no. You're thinking just what type of firewall this is. So there are two type of firewalls, right? There's network-based firewalls, and then there's what firewalls? Exactly. So this is a what?
Network-based or what?
Yep, this is a network-based firewall. So this means it's on the network. It's not blocking just one host. It's blocking multiple different hosts because it sit on a specific site on your network, right? So this is a network-based firewall. And then your host-based firewall is something we didn't talk about. So you can have a firewall that actually sits on your server. So 99% of you guys have Windows Defender that have PCs. You guys have Windows Defender on your Windows PCs. Unless you shut off Windows Defender or you give a rule to it to say, allow this guy to do X, Y, and Z, that firewall is not going to allow you to do X, Y, and Z. So even if you have this open, this firewall also needs to be open with a specific rule. But in this case, it wouldn't be this firewall because we know we're already getting data. And unless this data source is coming in from a different port or a different source in terms of like 9997, then you wouldn't necessarily care about this because as long as you're getting data here, if everything is coming in through 9997, there's no reason for you to check to see if this port is open or not, because you're already getting data from this guy that's coming into that answer. So that's not even an issue. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you have to go back to the source.
Yeah. Go back to the source. And then the other thing is, start whenever you get a question, don't automatically start panicking and start, especially interview questions, and start saying, okay, how do I get the answer? How do I get? Ask them questions that will make you that give you clues in terms of what's happening. So if somebody says, hey, we have data that's not coming in, that doesn't mean you start saying, okay, well, the host must be down, or there must be like 10 firewalls up or something like that. They would be like, okay, this guy doesn't know what, or girl doesn't know what they're talking about. You have to ask inquisitive questions going back and forth. And that's what they 99% of the time when I ask questions during interviews is to see how people think and how people process logically, how, going through their steps. So I don't really care whether you get the right answer or not. Most of the times it's more so what's your thinking process as you go through trying to solve these problems. Because there's multiple different layers. It's not going to be just, okay, it must be a firewall issue, or hey, it must be the host is down issue, or hey, it must be Splunk is not installed correctly issue. There's so many different layers. You can't just think it's just one thing. And that's usually what people that ask you good interview questions, that's usually the answers that they want to get, is just your thinking process. All right, so we spent a lot of time on that question. Any questions in regards to this? If somebody says, hey, we have a data source that's not coming in, and we need to figure out why the data source is not coming in.
It is a frequently asked question.
It is a frequently asked question. Another search you can use, if you know the index and the source type, as I've always done in here with you guys, T-stats. Stats count where index equals name underscore index, and source type equals when event by time. So the underscore time is saying the time that it came in. So we can run this now. Lane underscore index, source type, log by underscore time. So I'm not sure why this is not giving us results. Source type, make sure I spelled that right. Yeah. Let's do it by 30 days. We should have data in here. Okay, this took a little while longer. All right, so yeah, now you can see by time. So, but let's say we want to actually see the source type, right? Name of it. So then you put source type here, so it'll give you the name of the source type itself. Well, here's giving you source type and source type. But so what we'll do then is time counts source type. Then now you can see the actual name itself that pops up. So what we're doing here is basically doing a T-stats to say we want to see what's inside a lane's index. We want to see it based on the when event logs that are coming in. That's the source type we want. And we want to see it based on the time. So this breaks it down by time. So what I mean by that is when you go over here on the statistics bar, it gives you a time increment. So right now it's doing it by daily. So every day it's doing it over the last 30 days. And then gives you the count of events that are coming in. Then we say, not only that, I want to see the source type. So then it'll give you a new field as well. So another field will populate here next to time called source type. And then you see here. And then what you say is, I want to do a time chart now. count based on the value inside the source type. So that's when you do it by source type. So that's when it'll give you the value under here. So then when you run that, it gives you the source types itself. So if there's multiple source types, so for instance, if I did this, give me the multiple different source types up here at the top. I can do that, visualize that, and I can see all the different source types that are coming in under a lane. And then you can see when it stopped. So whenever you see this gap here, is when there's no data sources here. All right, questions about this? So no questions. All right. I think there was someone that posted a search. I think it was Ernest.
Yeah.
So let's run the search. So Ernest looks like his search is doing a delay, which it's okay, but let's see how this works. So we're index equals by source. So let's look at how this works first. So first it grabs a source. And then it tells you the different time that these sources are coming in. So the latest time these sources are coming in. Eval time delay. So he creates a new field called time delay. And then it's going to equals now. So let's delete this part. See how this works. So time delay equals now minus last time. So this one worked this way because now needs to have a bracket to actually have the now time. So it gives it a value. So it has to be highlighted this way because now basically represents like the actual time by the second when this occurred. So let's delete this again and then we'll do now this way. And if we run that, see a new field called time delay. So it gives you the delay in time as this is occurring. So then it does a lookup, average time. So this won't work because this also is looking at a CSV that we don't have. Yeah, so this is not going to work for us. So, so he's doing a time delay here to see the latest time delay. So what we can do here is do time delay goes now. So we can do another eval. Time delay equals, so this time field over here is going to be time delay divided by 86,400 seconds, and then we're going to call this time delay in days. So this is 86,400. So this is 1 day. That's what 86,400 represents. So we're going to divide that. So we'll run that. So then we see here it's 18 days delayed for some of these logs. So then this is based on the days. So that's what happens here. So now we can basically say, okay, stats values of stats count time delay in seconds by stats values actually. So let's see if any of these can sort of make sense. Yeah, I don't like these views. Let's do values probably best. Then we'll make this into a single value. Use that. Run that again. All right, so now we see this way, and then we can just format this, and then we can do number. We can say here. Oh, ooh, that's ugly. I want that. Let's go to small. Still ugly. Let's do delayed. How about that? Nah, that's still ugly. It would probably look much better on a chart, but this would be so we could probably do days here. That would probably make a lot more sense. Let's not doing that. So here, then we can say 16 days or whatever days. So then you look at the source, and then what you'll do typically is put this on a increase this. So actually, doesn't even seem to make a difference here. What you'll do then is put this on a chart. Then you can see the delay now per source, however long. So if we were to run this real time, this would, well, you can't run this because it's a T-stat. You can't run it real time, but you can run this every second for it to update, and you'll see now the seconds and delay. So let's place this on a dashboard. I think we have Elaine's window. All right, let's put on your Windows performance one. Let's review this. All right, so your Windows performance. Then what we'll do is say this. At the bottom here, we're going to make these little colors colorful. You can see this nice and pretty. All right, and then what we're going to do, can I do a space days? That still doesn't work here for me. All right, so what we'll do then is run this on something that actually comes in fairly quickly. Index, let's do index equals it isn't delayed though. Let's do stuff. It's going to be a lot. Anyway, let's run it and see how it works out for us, right? We want to see stuff that's not really delayed. Let's open this back up. I want to modify this so that it gives us, so it has these 14 days. Okay. So stuff that's coming in, CPU. Okay, all right, so let's do this. So we'll reverse sort it. So we'll do, we'll modify it this way. So what we'll do is say this, sort. We're gonna reverse sort it. So it gives us the number here. So sort, I think dash value. Value. Oh, let's rename this. So let's do this. So over here, sort dash value. It's because I don't have that field. Call this as X. So we're just going to rename this as X. Well, let's rename it something you guys makes. And what we're going to say is reverse sort. So sort minus. So you're just reverse sorting it. So then, reverse sort, regular sort. So we're going to sort it this way. And then I'm going to chop off the first 10. It's going to be the top 10. So let's use this now. And pop this inside of Elaine's search over here. And that's, we'll use a share type. You can see how this works out for us. Okay. So right now it's doing it in days, so it's not much here. So let's do it by less. Let's do it by, instead of division in days, let's just do it by number so that we can see something. Let's do 10. We just want to see something. So yeah, all right. So All right, so then we want to now format these numbers so that we can see it. So let me see, go all the way back here. All right, cool. I'm just trying to see the numbers. So then what I'll do then is modify this search to refresh every 2 seconds. So I'll do a custom time frame, refresh every 2 seconds. Actually, let's just do every second just so you guys can see how that works. Let's save it. Then let me make an output here. Let's do sum as the default. Default's gonna be sum because I hate seeing that thing blank. All right. So we save and then go at the bottom. And as you can see here, this is refreshing every second. So now it's like a semi-real-time dashboard. So it's showing me the delays in my sources as it's coming in. So this could be something in your environment you can implement, and you can see as your sources come in, you can look at the delays in millisecond or sub-second level to see what's coming in. So, all right, that's that. Any questions about that? And you notice I'm using T-Stat, so this is running fairly fast and it's not using much resources. That doesn't mean go and just start putting like 30 T-Stats that are running every second. It's not a good idea, but it's just something to sort of, if they say we want a real-time dashboard, instead of you actually running real-time, just have a search that just keeps rerunning and refreshes every like 3, 4, 5 seconds or whatever.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So you guys have that. Next question.
Interesting.
Hide this thing right here. Richard had a question. Richard, I don't know if you're online. Do you want to throw your question in here? Timmy or Rufus probably know the answer to this one. Richard, are you online? If you're talking, you're on mute. Okay. All right. Any other questions though?
Another one was no, and then there was a dispatch directory.
The dispatch directory is where your searches go from. That's more of a back-end question, by the way, but dispatch directory is where your data goes. If you want to search on the front end here, the data goes into var, var run dispatch, or var run Splunk dispatch directory, I believe. So that's where you're, so imagine when you run a search. Here, here's our blank document. So over here, we run a search Splunk. And these are indexers, right? So let's just copy one of these guys over here. So here, this is your Splunk head. It's searching your indexer. When it searches your indexer, there's a location. So it's, let me give you a full location. Var run Splunk. So this is the directory that your data gets sent to. And basically it's running this dispatch to give you the results you're looking for. So this, your searches, your bundles and all that information. So your query, all that other jazz gets pushed down to Splunk as a bundle. That bundle gets sent to the indexers. The indexers having a location, looks in that location for what it needs to find, parses that stuff, and then sends it back up to you as the beautiful search head to get the data.
Okay.
All right. Try to ask more front-end questions so at least I can go through stuff that's front-end related.
Oh yeah.
Anyone can ask questions. If not, I will. I'll let Elaine keep going, and then I will do some more searching and dashboarding, I guess. Okay, all right. So it looks like no questions there. So I installed the GitHub add-on a few days ago. Essentially what I did is I went to configuration. It asked me for, so first you have to create an account, right? So does anyone else have an account, GitHub account?
I think I created one.
Like a GitHub account?
Yeah.
I think I do. I can't remember I might not be able to remember login, but I do have one.
So if you have a GitHub account, you guys have access to modify this. So you can just put, the name is going to be the name of your GitHub page, and then it basically is going to tell you to log in. And then once you log in, it allows you to essentially create different inputs now. So then you can create your repo stats, you can create your commits, and then your repository issues. Then you can look at that stuff in here. So if I were to go to, actually before I do that, let me make sure I don't forget. This is going to SARS index, SARS index, and SARS index. Okay, cool. So if I were to search in here, I go to now it is 8:19. Okay, so it looks like user SAR doesn't really have anything, but it's just showing me this is just the repo stats. But I have different source types in here. So let's say I were to do this for 30 days and look at the different, if they come up. So it looks like there's only repo stats in here. Let's do all time. Let's see. So in here, I have repo stats. I got stash. I wonder where the other guy is. I don't see it. I think I may have sent it to main, possibly. Then, where did I send that guy to? Let's do star. Again, this is not a search you run most of the time. My environment's small, so that's why I'm doing it this way, but it's probably a much more effective way if I just do this. That's count where index equals star, source type is find out where index is in first. And I want to run this realize where index will start, source type. Oh, that's probably why I didn't get it. Yeah, it is in main. That's probably the issue. So if I go back here, I did this. That's the dummy move here. All right, so let's run this now all the time. Start again. All right, so here we go. So we have our commits over here. So I committed a few things a few days ago. And it tells me who I committed it as. Well, this is the owner, and then it should tell me who I committed as. I think I did.
It gives you all the information you do on Git.
Say it one more time.
It gives you all the information you do on Git.
Yeah, for like your commits. So this one's only for your committed stuff. So the source type is GitHub repo commits. So anytime your repository commits something, it's going to give you like that information. So we can test that out actually to see if it's going to work. So
you got some cool stuff.
Thanks, man. Index. Let's do a, I'm going to do a real time hour. So let's try to commit something. So GitHub basically is a SVN, which means it's a way for you to merge information from multiple different developers. So I am going to go to path page and here. So what I'm gonna do is just push a random file out. So let's do. So I got a few things that are here, so I don't really care about that right now. So let's do make directory. So I guess before I do that, let me show you what Git does. So if you go here in GitHub, so everybody can create a free account. Oh, I put GitHub. But you can create a free account here. So let's say I create a new repo called, so we'll call students. So I create a new Git repo here. I'm going to make it private so anyone can do anything. I'm just going to initialize a readme. You don't have to, so I just do that. So once I do that, I believe I have to register this guy to this add-on over here. So we'll stop this for a brief second. Then we'll go to our front-end app. We're going to go to the.
Did you click private?
For which one?
The repo?
No, public.
Okay, public. Okay.
Yeah. So we're going to go here, and then we're going to create a new input. And we're going to say repository stats, and then we're going to say students. It's going to be the name. Interval, we're going to do every 60 seconds. And then we're going to send this to OpenPath. Let's do OS, I guess. Doesn't really matter. It's not really OS related. Let's just send it to main. Send it to main for right now. Owner, organization. It's going to be the owner here. So Sar Levy, which is me. So the way you can find out who your owner is, so literally looking at your username. It's right here. So going back here, so it literally tells you that API github.com, the owner, and then the repo. And then the repository that I want, so the repository I'm looking for is this guy right here, Student Spring Course. That here, I'm gonna add that. And then I'm gonna do the same thing. So that right now is for the repo stats. I'm gonna do the repo commits. So same thing. I'm only doing interval 60 seconds because I actually want to see what's coming in fairly fast. Send this again to main. Students course. So I gotta put the credentials. Oopsies. All right, got that. And then got to get one more. So the issues. So let's do one more. So do 60 seconds, and then we'll go to again, and then OpenPath, then here. That's all right. Cool. And then you'll notice that you also have the options to edit this and change the interval and use different credentials also if needed to. So you can always do that later. All right, so we have that. So let's go check first to see if anything is coming in. X equals main. For an hour. So Sar Levy Student Spring Course. Looks like we just added. So we got that. Okay, so got an initial commit. Ooh, look at that. Already got that stuff situated. So it's coming in. Git is doing its thing. All right. So we have that. All right. So let's make sure we get the source tab we want. Actually, the source, which is going to be, where you at? Where you at? Where you at? GitHub repo, students repo. So it's either going to be one of these two. So we're going to stop this. Then I'm going to say source equals to star student whatever. So source student repo. So student repo is going to be the case. So student repo. Again, source is going to be whatever star student repo because it's in both of these. So we'll run that for 4 hours, and we're going to see just stuff for student repo, or for 30 days maybe. Oh, students, not students. There you go. All right, cool. So we got that. All right. So that's there. So let's run this now real time for the last hour and see what keeps happening here. Because every 60 seconds, I believe, data is supposed to come in. So it has 3 events that it's matched so far, and those 3 events should populate. So it's 10, 19, 54. So let's try to commit something. So first we need to pull down this repo. So to do that, click student, whatever course, and then it's going to allow you to click the, save the repo location. So you'll go down to your server level. So let's do, I'm going to do git clone, which basically says copy that stuff that you just got there, copy that here. Are you tripping, folks? Oh, permission 9. So let's do shoot. All right. So I cloned it. So now I go into students resource, whatever. So now you see it has that README. So if I did cat this is the same thing that's going to be up top over here. So right here. So go inside this README. And that's this is my commit changes. All right, so I want cake and cookies. So now we go over here, and then we cat this thing again. It doesn't have the cake and cookies because it hasn't been updated. So to do that, less than cat. And then we see, oh, let's do get. So I'm on the master, so let's do get cool. Right. So an insertion, 3 insertions were there. So cat. So now you see it grabbed me the update that I wanted, which is I want cake and cookies. All right. So we just want to make sure, and we're testing that we have full connectivity to our online repo over here. The reason I'm teaching you GitHub is because you'll probably run into this at some point in time. So let's hide this for a quick second. So what I'll do then is in the student repo thing here, what I'm going to do is create a file called make, actually, let's do a touch. So yeah, students. Let's say okay, Rocker, you in here? DK. DK's, is DK here? I haven't heard from DK in a while, actually. Let's see, Clovis, okay. Let's see, is. All right, so who else is here? I got Mercy and Claudette. All right, so that's probably, hopefully I didn't miss anyone. Elvis close. Elvis the heavy? I don't have Elvis in here. So we got everybody. All right, so escape. Yeah. All right, so we got that. So once that's added, say again. Oh, sorry. All right. Wait something. All right, so we're gonna do a git add. So we're gonna add everything, and then if you do git, see now this stuff is now changes that are ready to be committed. So that means it's ready to be pushed out. So then typically you want to do a new branch for this, but in this case, I'm just going to show you guys just how to push it regularly, branching. So we'll do, so git student, blah, blah. So then we'll do a git commit dash am. Right, so we push that. And then now we committed that. Now, if we do a git status, shows there's nothing else here, but it's already been added. So then what we'll do is a git push. We'll do origin. Now it pushes that stuff. Then it tells us here that's been pushed. And then you can go now to this location that it gives you. Spits that out for you. So if I created this new link over here, here, bro, I gave you something that's ready to be pushed. So then what we'll do, see here, this has been merged, Timmy, blah, blah, blah. All these folks have now been added. So that's Git. So let's see now if it's stuff in that. So 1022, okay. Looks like it did capture it. So let's see now. Hopefully that's the one that we did. So let's take a look again. 10 events are matched now. So let's see what's been matched. We pushing out new files, bro. All right. So we got that. All right. So we got that. Let's see what else. Anything else happened that it caught? 1024 saw me do something. It's just giving me the stats, I believe, for this. Give me stats again, but it basically caught my commits. All right, so we know that's working. So that's how that add-on will work. A lot of times you have to read the add-on manual to see what's going on there. I'm going to go modify this so it's not doing this all the time. I'm actually going to delete this. We don't need this anymore. Delete. We're going to delete you. So any questions about that? That's just one add-on. There's multiple add-ons we can sort of play with. Okay. Any questions about that one? All right. Review that. It's a very likely add-on you'll be using at some point in time. So let's go now to .com. All right, so let's see. What do we want to put? Let's see. Anything Facebook related that's actually helpful. Facebook captured a flag. No, it's trash. CA net getter. Add-on for OS query. Let's add a visualization. Let's add something. Let's actually. So let's say we want to add. Let's try this. I don't think I have Twilio on here. Do I have Twilio? Let's do this. I don't think I have Twilio on here. This would be cool to add on. It's been a while. Twilio. So no Twilio's on here. So let's add Twilio. SMS alerting. So let's log in and download this. All right. I got my credentials logged here. Yep. Hash me, bro. All right. So this is installing an add-on. So we're going to do Twilio. Give me that. All right, so then let's install this app from file. Where you at? Twilio downloads. Twilio. So it comes in as a .tar file. So I think other examples you'll get it as well. There's a .spl, which is the same thing, but 99% of the time your apps and add-ons are going to come in a .tar format. All right, so we upload. It says, hey, it's been done. So it says, do you want to set up now? So here we go. Yeah, let's set up now, bro. So we have the option to activate. So this actually comes from a guy named Baboons. That's going to give you authentication key that you're going to use, and that's going to be non-expiring. So we're going to go here to the guy's website. Then we have to create a fake thing here for the guy. So get 14-day trial key, select an option, a new and using the Splunk version. Name is, he already knows me, so Bobby. Oh, Bobby Manning. It's gonna be blown if he gets that. Who used my email to get Splunk stuff? So not Bobby Price. Let's do Shay. Do a create an email. Hey, temporary disposable email. Give me something, bro. Load me up, load me up. Oh, look at that fake Dex. There we go, bro. That's what I need right here. Thank you, Baboons. Right, so recognize that. Yep, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Probably never gonna get anything. All right. Just one key. All right. So app name. Where's that? Twillo. Yes. All right. Processing. Let's see how smart his add-on is. It's mailed to you. So let's see what we got over here. Booms, bam. Don't do what I do. This is terrible. Good thing to do, but hey, we need to test the key, right? Good. Save that. Bam. We got our Twillo messaging app set up. All right, so Twillo messaging app is set up. Where Twillo at? Twillo. And then let's go to launch app. So Twillo's here. All right, so this allows us to send alerts, messaging alerts, like SMS stuff to users. So alert action setting up, so browse alert, set up your alerts. So okay. Enabled, so let's do set up Twillo SMS alerting. Okay, so we did that. So let's see if we can get something that's done. So let's do this. Let's do X equals, let's go to audit. In touch account by last 60 minutes, I guess. That's fine. Yeah, I'm going to save this as an alert. Say testing. Hello. Then we're going to just try to use the alert action over here. It's going to require a number. I believe your number has to be in here though, but let's see. Who wants me to test their number here? Just to give it a go to see if they get it. Anyone?
202
All right, 202
820
820.
3.
Oh, 830. Okay.
202.
I didn't catch that last part.
Okay. Second 3 is 320.
Oh, okay. 202 320. Okay.
26
26
86.
86. Okay. Two number from number is going to be 240. Oh, I think I have to have a number registered with Twillo too, actually. 640, but let's see if it works. So, man, see if this works. The alert. I'm going to try to trigger this alert every I'm going to run this every minute for right now. Right, let's save that. Oh, I think am I missing one? No, just missed the space. Okay, cool. All right, it may or may not work because I remember last time I did a Twillo alert, it needed your number needed to be activated with Twillo, but we can easily do that. TWILIO. Okay, sign up. All right, so first name is R. Levy. I'm not going to use that email, bro. I'm going to use, where's my temp email at? Go. Password is, give me a password. Start your free trial. Come on, buddy. 2018. Not now. We sent yep, verify your account. All right, cool. Let's verify my account since I have a real email, right? All right, Twillo, verify email. Sure, bro. Verify you. And my number is going to be 240-646-2640. Verify me, bro. All right, it's going to ask me for a verification code. And 471008. 471. Submit that. All right. What the?
You had been suspended.
Dang, these dudes caught me. I had another account somewhere. Oh, these clowns. All right, I've been caught. Looks like we can't get it to work. Twillo guys. All right, these guys aren't all that dumb. All right, cool. All right, so it looks like we've been caught. But essentially, that's how you'll set that up. If you guys want, you can actually set up a real Twillo account with your real credentials and all that. You haven't got any email, have you? Or text message, rather? Whoever's number I use, you haven't got anything, have you?
Nothing.
Yeah, it's probably not gonna work because they suspended me. But if you're not suspended and you're not off the bad boys list, or if you are off the bad boys list, rather. Say that one time.
Twillo only service supported.
You say, is the service supported?
That the only service being supported on here.
I still can't catch that, boy.
I mean, is it only Twillo that we can use, or we can use stuff like Google Voice or some other app on here?
Any add-on you find in here you want to play with, I'm game. Test it. Have fun with it. The only thing you have to remember is you don't have back-end access. So if that add-on requires you to set up stuff on the back end, you don't have that. So what I would suggest is create that on your own server and be able to do that. So what I mean by that is be able to set up your app on your server and then being able to do like some alerts and all that other stuff, which will still work. Now, you won't have data, so that will be an issue. So matter of fact, let's work on that. So since you guys don't have data sources now. What I can do, or what you can do, is you can list my indexer. You can go to settings, distributed search, list my indexer as a search peer. What that allows you to do essentially is connect directly to my indexer. And then that way you don't have to come to OpenPath to run your searches. You can run your searches directly from your servers because you're connected to my indexer. I have to create a rule for you for that because my indexers are behind a bunch of firewalls. So only OpenPath can get to it. So I will have to open that up for you guys to be able to do that. I'll do that. If anyone's interested, just let me know and I can do that probably tomorrow. You'll have access that way as well. If you just want to run your searches locally, that way you can do whatever you need to do. And at that point in time, I'll probably kick you guys off as, for the management clients, because you guys don't need to do that anymore anyway. You can just run the searches locally and create your stuff locally there. Questions about that? All right, cool. So next thing, customer says, hey, or in an interview, they say, hey, one of our environments runs extremely slow. We don't know what the heck is going on. Things are just trash right now. Like, what would you do to fix it if you were to come in an environment because we had a Splunk engineer that just came and don't know what the heck they were doing. They just started running index equals star everywhere, started just, creating real-time alerts, ran searches that just took forever. And they didn't know what they're doing. How would you clean up that person's environment? So that's the initial question.
If the person was running the search on real time or try to use cron, if searches are running on real time, I'll go ahead to set it on to run on cron.
Say that one more time.
Okay, if the person was running the searches on real time,
well, okay, so let me rephrase. Great. My environment, you come into my environment, my searches are slow. How would you diagnose the issues? People are saying when I run a search, it runs really slow. What could be possible issues?
Firstly, it could be space issues, or storage.
Says space issues. Okay.
What's the question? If you get into environment, your searches are taking forever.
Searches are taking forever to run. How would you diagnose it?
Monitoring console.
Okay. All right. Let's go there. First of all, what is the monitoring console?
Monitors your storage and memory, CPU usage.
Memory, CPU. What else does it do? What does it monitor like in terms of like Splunk?
Skip searches.
I say that one time.
Skip search. It monitors skip searches.
All your components for your environment.
Yeah. So what does it monitor for your components for your environment? I know skip search is one. Resources, CPU. What else?
Memory.
Memory. Okay.
Any issues that may occur?
Yep. So MC literally monitors everything. Monitors the number of searches, searches concurrently running, KV store, smart store, license usage, indexing your volumes, the instances you have, health checks. So if I run a health check here, It'll literally tell me what's going on in my environment, what's good by best practices, what's not good, what I'm doing right, what I'm not doing right. And it's probably going to tell me some flags I have, license warning, blah, blah, blah. Missing forwarders, it'll tell me that. Then search schedule skip ratio. So looks like I'm pretty good. So overall, my environment's pretty good. I do have one error, 3 warnings. I don't know what the error is, that licensing warning stuff. So then I could look at here, go say which guy has a license warning. So Richino, you're in violation, bro. So you gotta fix your stuff, bro. You're stealing Splunk stuff. So Splunk, you should fix that. So you're in violation actually. So you may want to fix that very quickly. Splunk's got to disable your stuff fairly soon. So there's the monitoring console basically gives you like a overall healthy view of everything that's going on in your environment. Get familiar with it. There's so much you can do with the monitoring console that it could be a job in itself if you know how to triage stuff that's going on. Trigger alerts, enable or disable. So it tells you what alerts that you can enable or disable. So here I have normal state of like my indexer processing if I'm using too much physical memory. If I have expired or soon to be expired licenses, it gives me like weeks where it can do that. Missing forwarders, near critical disk usage, saturated event processing queues. There's so much that this monitoring console can give you, and this is only like touching like the tip of the iceberg, right? So where is it at? So there's health check items here that you can have, and you can add different new health check items too. So you can do this, and then you can set up your different parameters. You can create your own search to set up your own version of health check items, and then you can literally say, here it could be called students not reporting or students not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and it can be saved in the monitoring console or any other app that I want it to be saved in. Then it could tell me what roles it can run it as, and then I could do drill downs. I can exclude certain environments. There's so many different things that the monitoring console offers that it only would help you become a better Splunker once you get used to it. I'm not gonna be able to go through everything, probably not even through half of it, but I'll start going over through some of the stuff. Overview page basically tells you the overview of your environment. So you can click the topology or the overview screen. Overview basically tells you the different components you have: indexer, search head, license master. If you add forwarders, they will not be on this screen. It only does basically your major components. So deployment servers, custom masters, deployers, license masters, things like that. It will show you. It won't show you anything about like forwarders or anything like that. Even if you have a heavy forwarder, that stuff is not going to be shown here. It only shows where you have like main components. And the way that this screen comes up is you have to go to settings, general setup, and once you click distributed, it gives you like a list of like the other stuff that's here that gets added. So for instance, if I added another console here that's that I'm able to view, and the way that I'm able to view that is by going to settings, distributed search. Once I set up that search to be a search peer, it would now gets added to here. So let me I have 10, 11 minutes, so I could do a quick show. I'm gonna try to end today at 11. So let's do AWS.
So the answer to this question is, if the search is running slow, I just use my monitoring console.
Oh yeah, so no, that's not the answer. The answer to the question is you ask more questions. It's what do you mean by slow? How slow is it running? What search am I running? So it's relative, right? If I'm doing index equals star all time and the search takes 5 to 10 minutes, well, you're running index equals star all time. Why are you doing that? If anybody's just running any regular search, any search that they run, index equals a specific index, host equals whatever host, source equals whatever source, and it still runs slow, that's an issue. But if it's a thing where they're running exactly what they're supposed to be running and stuff seems good, but for some reason, however, they're still having issues, then that's probably something that needs to be looked at more in depth. So let's go to here. Here. All right, so then I'm going to spin up this Ansible server. And this Ansible server, I'm going to install Splunk. So what I'm going to do is actions, instance settings, instance settings. Where's user data at? User data is where you at? Yeah, you change user data. So what I'm going to do is run my script that I always have handy over here. So cancel. And I'm going to make this guy report to my deployment server as a deployment client. So I'm going to here. So I'm going to paste this in here. Then my deployment server is going to be what's the IP for this guy? Is 100. Let's do MS lookup because I always forget. Rod. This IP here. So fix that in here. 8089. So all right, let's save this. And then let's start this instance. So we should hopefully see this instance connect. And it should be called, it's either going to connect by the IP or the DNS name. It just starts up. So let's refresh this. Pending. All right, so it should be connecting shortly. So once it connects, what I'm going to need to do, let me start closing some of these screens. Let's close this. I don't need this diagram anymore. That. So once it connects, what I'm going to do is, I need this testing tool, is I'm going to make that new server a search peer. So that means once it's a search peer, I can look at the health status of it. And once I'm able to look at the health status of it, it then becomes a member that's eligible to be added to my deployment. Not to my deployment, but to my monitoring console. So, okay, so it's running. So let's first check to make sure that bad boy is able to connect here. So open link in a new tab. And order, so it's not that guy. So it should be hopefully connecting shortly. So, all right, let's check to make sure Splunk is on here as well, which it should be. Let's make sure Splunk is up and running. Maybe doing a restart right now, by the way, since it's to reconnect and then reboot HTTP. Okay, so yeah, it looks like it's still not fully up yet. Initializing. And what we can do is so settings, system log. Oh, buddy, show me something. What I'm thinking is the Splunk is already installed on there. So this doesn't initialize yet. All right, let me see if I can SSH into this guy quickly. Connect. Okay. Oh, so it didn't install. Why? So this guy didn't install it. So let's see. Can I look my script manual likely? Right, so that guy didn't install. So let's see if we can just run this manually on here. So let's do stage, paste this in here. So, why are you not installing Splunk? Oh crap! You know what? Silly, sorry. Okay, so this is taking a lot longer than I wanted it to take. The script is supposed to just make this really beautiful. Didn't. Let's do this. Cat script. Cat. So let's just grab this stuff quickly. Oh, okay. So that's why. This guy probably is locked down, is unable to reach out. That's why I was failing. Okay, that makes sense. All right. That's the issue. I probably have like a security group issue on this guy. Oh no, it has hack me, bro. Can do anything. So let's use any one of these other instances. Let's launch something quickly. Launch. Let's leave one. Storage probably gonna be an issue. Let's make this 5. Launch. Security groups. Hackers United. Do anything? Yep. Before we do that, here. Okay, so that should be it. So, crap, you know what? I sent this guy to the wrong freaking guy. Gosh, sorry. Okay, so that guy's gonna be up. I just gotta change where it's going from, but either way, it's able to connect. So as long as I need it up, we should be good. So what I'm gonna do then is add one of these guys to be my distributor. Actually, any one of you, give me, if your Splunk is up, give me your IP, your public IP, and then I'm going to need your username and password for your remote server. I'll give you control. So anybody that wants to just see their peer up here, anyone.
Splunk is not running.
Is there anyone that has Splunk up and running on their local instance? If not, we can wait for the other thing to build up.
Mine is up and running, but I just don't know my password.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, this guy should be up in 2 seconds anyway. So let's connect. It's already on here. Ooh, what the shit? Like this now. Let's see. Deploy boy on here. Looks like I didn't get created. So we'll just make this guy. Well, we don't really care if it does it or not. So let me just check, make sure the password is set on here. Right. Splunk. Connection refused. Okay, so it was down. That's a big thing. This is like the longest to get Splunk up and running. Oh, you know, it's in the process of restarting anyway. It looks like it was in the process of being started. So what was it, 4686? I was doing a restart. Yeah, crap. Okay. So restart is done soon. Yep, there's deploy boy. So deploy boy's here. All right, so cool. It's vi.deploymentclient.com. So okay, so Splunk bin, Splunk list, and then admin team. Cool. So password works. Just wanted to check that. Splunk. Let's do a restart. All right. So once that restarts, what we're going to do then is connect that guy. And since it's in the same AZ, I believe same AZ, the same availability zone / region anyway, we should be able to reach right into it. It's in the same subnet. So let's just grab the internal IP, which is right here. So we'll grab the IP. And when you're adding it to a search pair, you gotta do this example right here. And just do 889. Then you put the password, admin, in this case, and then The only thing is you got to wait until Splunk comes back up. So it looks like Splunk is back up. And now we should be able to save it. And voila. So now it checks. So now God has that guy there. So that's part one. That guy's there now. So if you go to monitoring console now, you look on the front end over here. Come on. So 5 more minutes should be done. Come on. It's taking forever because I have the overview screen open elsewhere. All right, cool. So you see, it still only sees one indexer, one searcher, and one license master. So just want to show you guys that. So then what you'll need to do, go to General Setup. And then you see that it notices this new instance that's here. But right now the state is new and not configured. So you have to configure this. So all you need to do is just click here. And then you can edit the role this instance is serving. So right now this instance is just going to be, we'll say it's going to be a indexer, right? So we're going to save it, done. And then once you apply the changes at the top up here, what happens, this state goes from new, configured, and then now if you go to overview, it should have 2 indexers now that it notices. And then you can now search across the indexer to see what the status is for these indexers. And he also sees 2 license masters since that guy's also serving as its own license master. All right, so we'll get into more next week about that stuff and how to use it. Play through the license master as much as you can. And then if you have questions, let me know, but I'll go through
Yes, Krishna.
I'll go through setting up the license master and what that entails and just sort of like what to look out for when you're looking at some of these other different views like searches, distributed search activity, and how to read some of this stuff. So any questions?
Yeah, I have a question, so.
Thanks.
Hello?
Yeah, yep.
So I have a question about, it's not pertaining to the instances, it's about a search.
Okay.
Like how do you, let's say you run a search and inside of the events, you wanna, so a table, so run table underscore row.
So index equals right?
Yeah. So you see inside of those events right there, let's say I don't want to see product name. So you can run the command table underscore raw, but inside of that,
What does table underscore raw do?
what does table underscore raw do? It just shows you the events on the other side. It tables your event.
Right. So table what? So what is underscore raw? I guess. Let me ask that.
Just the raw data that you're seeing.
Okay. So is it gonna? What is it gonna table? Is it gonna table? Is it gonna table? Just type. It's tabling all of this stuff, right?
Yeah, it's tabling all of that.
Okay. So. So okay. Let's keep going. Well, so what are you trying to do?
So let's say inside of these events, I don't want to see manufacturer, I don't want to see product name. Is there a way to do that?
Well, so that goes back to the table question again. So tables what you set to table. So it's like saying I want to table Richard, but I don't want to see Richard. There's no way to do that because underscore raw is basically what you've tabled. You've tabled the wrong thing. That's the issue. So if you table star, it tables each field into something else, and then you can select the fields that you want. So right now you've tabled, you say, I want to table this, everything. So this is not like I get to table each of these individually. When you do table underscore raw, because the underscore raw is basically saying, I am everything. You can't just take me in pieces. You're going to take all of me. This is it. And if you want to delete any part of this, then that means you don't see underscore raw at all. So what you'll need to do then is table star, or you can do a fields. So let's say, for instance, we want to see type, name, manufacturer, product name, status, MAC address, whatever. So what you'll do then is say field. Manufacturer, let's put that right in there. FACTU. Oh, yeah, let's put that right in there. Then status, then MAC address. So then you see now when you do that, what it does then, it basically just grabs those fields and you still get the raw. But if you have like a bunch of fields, then it'll be a table star. But if you know the fields that you want to table, the stuff that you want, then you can just list it this way. And then now if you do table star, it gives you each of these fields this way that you want. And now that you have that, then you can fields whatever you don't want to see. So you say, hey, I don't want to see status. So you can do field minus. What happens then is status field is removed. I don't want to see product name. Product name is removed.
Well, you see over there, it's still showing underscore row though. And
Right,
it's showing all those other fields.
right. But that's because that's a field.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's gone. Okay, got you.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So the value of what's inside there, because if you see inside here is underscore raw, doesn't give you like each of these separately. It's giving you all of these things in one. It's saying everything that comes in here is me. So it's just like time in here. If you say, hey, I want to take away the 8 from here, it's going to say, well, you won't find anything in underscore time because, well, you will find something as long as the 8 doesn't belong there. But you can't just take a specific small value here if that's what's inside the value. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, that's all I wanted to know. Thanks.
All right. Any other questions?
Oh, questions will be coming. I'll have more questions next class.
Okay. Cool.
We'll have more. I have more questions over the weekend.
Say again?
I'll have more questions over the weekend. I got to go through this class and the previous one.
Okay. Yes. Just save it for Monday. Weekend. I usually with the fam, but yeah. If you guys have stuff that you want to go through, by all means, post that join in the class so that you do not forget it, or in the chat. But my main thing is the practice piece. You know, I will keep harping on it. Is what's important. All this stuff that we're doing, like metadata, for instance, right? That should be a command that you guys should like have memorized by now. That's something that you should have been doing like since the beginning. That was like one of the first commands I showed you guys. You gotta practice that. Otherwise, you're gonna forget. I mean, there's commands I ran 3-4 years ago that I don't remember now. Of course, if I run it again, then I'll probably start remembering like some of the syntax. But yeah, unless you use it, you're gonna lose it. And especially if you're not working in Splunk right now, it's almost impossible to try to remember this stuff if you're not actually doing it on the daily. And even if you are doing it on the daily, you don't use half of these commands often. You know, some of the folks that work in Splunk now will tell you that. So that's why it's important that you are doing these things as much as you can, as many times as you can. All right. Homework, if you choose to do it, would be to go through the monitoring console you have questions about what's inside the monitoring console, how to do certain things, let me know. We're going to review all of this next week, Monday, and go through that. There are a few more search commands I would like to go through, but I think the MC is a little bit more important than that, and knowing how to use the MC accurately. I think that's a little bit more important. When I was at Splunk support, we used a thing called the diag. Essentially, we use the undiag, which basically allows us to get a diag of what is created. So if I run a command on the back end called Splunk diag, it creates a diag, which is a diagnostic file of my entire Splunk instance. And it basically is a tar file that I sent to Splunk. And then Splunk looks at the configurations, my memory, all the other stuff that's been collected. And then it says, hey, so this is what's going on. And this is some of the issues. There's a tool called OnDiag that was based off of the monitoring console, but it was basically like a monitoring console on crack. You know, it literally helps you to, you know, resolve a lot of issues. But again, it's based off of the monitoring console. So at base level, understand how the monitoring console works. Understand the different views in here, because you can get a question that literally will point right directly to the monitoring console. So, all right. So again, homework, monitoring console, and then dashboards. I still don't get anyone that talks about doing dashboards, the drop downs, drill downs, all that other stuff. I know some of you said you wanted a chance to review the video, so I get that. You have a chance to review it now, so feel free to go ahead. The last thing is set up some apps and TAs, and you know, if you want to come to class next time and say, hey, you know, I got an app and TA, and I want to show you, feel free. Come in next time.
That for AWS next time. I'll bring in.
Say again?
Can we do that for AWS next for AWS? Yeah.
Oh, you mean set up the app for AWS? I already have that set up, so I probably can do it.
Oh, for Azure?
Yeah, you said for Azure?
Yeah, I know that.
Well, I don't have an Azure account. If you have an Azure account, we can set it up for sure. I don't have an Azure account though. If anyone has an Azure account or has like any account that they, you know, want to set up, let me know, and we can set it up and we can run through it and show you exactly how it's configured. The only thing I'm worried about there is just that there's some back-end stuff that may be needed. So that may be, you know, it may go over some people's heads in regards to some of the configuration we do on the back end.
I do have an Outlook account, so I think I should be able to access Azure.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so if that's the case, next class we can take a look. I know some of the Azure configurations do require you to have a premium account. So I don't know whether you have that or not, but the premium account basically gives you access to more advanced API, which is what a lot of the add-ons use. They use more advanced API to be able to get that stuff reporting into Splunk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but there are some base level stuff though that you can still collect though.
Yeah, I know you mentioned one time that you're gonna show how to ask about the API stuff. I mean, if you're asked to bring in logs using API method, that I mentioned that one. I think that was the beginning of the class. So you're gonna throw some light on it.
Yeah, so if we do the Azure one, that'll be an API for sure. The Twilio add-on that we just did is also an API one. This one uses the authentication key that we got, but it's still an API configurations that's used to basically connect to the Twilio endpoint. It uses Python to be able to, you know, execute some of the alert scripts, but essentially the Python wrapper is what connects this guy to Twilio directly, and then Twilio, once it's able to authenticate, uses your credentials with your save, whatever your saved your saved number, and then that's how you're able to send, you know, text messages and stuff. I used to use this a lot. It's a fairly cool app. The guy definitely deserves his money. He's worked on a lot of Splunk apps. I just haven't seen the need to use it lately. Another one we can set up, which is on here, which is the mobile. Freak, did I delete? I don't think I deleted it. Did I? Doggone it, I hope I didn't delete it. Splunk Mobile, which I have on my phone. We can launch this. Oh, I did delete. Okay, cool. Anyway, this would be good. Maybe next class we'll show you guys how to do that. Splunk Mobile allows you to download, not download, but basically use the Splunk app, the Splunk mobile app. Oh, it's not mobile, it's Cloud Gateway. And it connects to your Splunk Mobile. So this Cloud Gateway right here, that credential, allows you, we'll set it up next time. I'm just going to download it just to have it cached here for me. We'll install this next time. But basically, you can see the alerts and all that other stuff on your phone. So you don't necessarily need to be on your Splunk instance. And you can set it up on any server as long as it has access to be able to get out the internet and send you the request, then it works really, really well. I've used it at my last job when I built a SOC, and I used to check all my alerts on my phone with the SOC to say, hey, I got an alert on this, what's going on, check it out. And even before my SOC analyst used to ping me about stuff, I would already know what's going on before then. I already check it because I got the alert, basically right there, then and there. All right, guys. Well, that is it for today. Thank you all for sticking around. If you have questions, of course, feel free to put it in the chat. Interact often in the WeSplunk chat. I think all of you guys should be in there. A lot of folks ask questions in it. If you don't know the answer, try to find the answer. That's what makes you a better Splunker, because the more you answer questions or you try to figure out the answers to it, the better you get at resolving a lot of these issues. So, yeah. Okay, that's enough of me talking for today. I'll catch you guys next class. Just as a soft reminder, next week is the last week for payments for those who have not situated that. I was going to make it this week, but I'm going to push it to next week. So just as a heads up, I don't want to push you out of class if you haven't talked to me about anything. So, all right.
Appreciate it.
No worries.
Thank you.
Later, guys.